Hello, excuse the mask. I'm wearing my mask until all my friends leave because they want to talk to me. Here's one of my friends. They want to talk to me, and yet they're not wearing their masks half the time. So I'm wearing my mask, and then when they leave, I'll take my mask off. So I want to talk a little bit about my car because it gets confusing. The engine is a 1971 Mark I Triumph Spitfire engine, but it's been rebuilt with 1976 Triumph Spitfire 1500 with a 1976 Triumph Spitfire 1500 engine block components. So it has the components of the 76 engine block, but the components are put into a 71 engine block. I know you're saying to yourself, this is impossible, can't work. Well, it can work. My mechanic had to grind down the Driveshaft weights. So that's how he was able to get it to fit in there. I know it's not traditional, but listen, it's got 1,000 miles on it so far, no problem. So who knows? The transmission that I showed you was the 1976 Triumph Spitfire 1500 transmission. I'll take my mask off now. Transmission. And
Last space, my friend.
Yep. Yep. I'm good, thank you. See, he's talking to me, but I don't think he's wearing his mask, so I gotta be careful. I'm not trying to catch COVID. So that was the 1976 Triumph Spitfire 1500 transmission. So I took some measurements, and this transmission is, let me just make sure, I got my measurements here. This transmission is 26 inches long, and the 1971 Mark IV Triumph Spitfire transmission is 23 inches long. Now, as far as the drive shaft, so now you got a 3-inch difference, okay? Now the drive shaft, the original drive shaft, I'm going to show it to you right now, was it's actually from a 1976 Triumph Spitfire. I'm sorry, let me start over. This drive shaft is from a 1975 Triumph Spitfire 1500. This drive shaft so this drive shaft is from the 1975 Triumph Spitfire 1500, and it measures 38 3/8 inches long. 38 3/8 inches long, okay? Now, the one I have upstairs that I ordered and is used is a reconditioned Mark IV. I believe it's a Mark IV. It could be a different model, but at any rate, it's a reconditioned drive shaft. I'm blocking the camera there, sorry about that. It's a reconditioned drive shaft, and that is, that measured 41.5 inches long, but it was adjustable, so it could actually go from 40 inches long to 40, it's adjustable, and it could go from 41 inches long and 41.5 inches long. It has an adjustable shaft. It's interesting. So, and actually, well, and I should make another note, because there might be some British viewers. In America, we call the shaft that goes from the transmission to the differential, we call that the drive shaft. In England, they call it the propeller shaft. It kind of makes sense. It propels the differential, right? And the differential turns the wheels. Now in England, they call the shafts that go from the differential to the rear wheels, they call those the drive shafts. So that gets confusing, but I grew up in America, so I'm going to say drive shaft. Maybe I confused everybody. Sorry about that. So yesterday, the other thing was that yesterday I told you all about my propane torch. The reason I told you about the propane torch is because I had to take the bolts off of this original drive shaft from the 1975 drive shaft. I had to take them off right here. See here, I take the bolts out from here where they connected to the differential, the rear differential. And they were seized. They were old and rusted, and I had to heat them up with a torch. So normally you don't have to use a torch when you're doing mechanic work, but sometimes you need it. Hopefully you don't. The ones in the front were loose because the transmission was vibrating so much because it's about to explode. I didn't need to use a torch. I could have unloosened them with my fingers. That's how loose they were. So, you know, you never know what you're going up against when you're working with cars. So anyway, right, so there's the engine. That's the 71 engine block with 76 components inside of it. It was rebuilt by this awesome mechanic in Vermont years ago. I replaced the alternator. I had to rebuild the distributor. I rebuilt the carburetor. That's a Zenith Stromberg. I believe it's a Zenith Stromberg 150 CD. Or maybe they say CD 150. I'm not sure how that goes, but anyways, it's Zenith Stromberg carburetor. I put a ball bearing gross jet valve in it and rebuilt it, and it works fine. I mean, I got enough horsepower for my needs. My car goes, I've had it up to 90. I think it has a little more, but with the busted transmission, I wasn't going to try anything more than 90. These cars weren't really built for speed, but they were built for handling. That's what they're fun. They're great driving. They're great drivable cars. They're a lot of fun. Rack and pinion steering. I could turn on a dime with this steering. It's rack and pinion steering. I put new bushings for the anti-sway bar. I put new brake calipers in, new brake master cylinder. Rebuilt the windshield washer motor so I can, wipe the rain if it comes. I mean, I've done quite a bit. New hoses for the emission system. I don't have all the emission system because I'm living in New York. I don't need it. But I hooked it most of it back up because I don't want all these fumes going in my car. If you don't hook this stuff up, where do you think the fumes go? This right here is an exhaust. It's like a pressure relief vent hose from the tank, and if you don't hook that into the carbon filter here, it's just gonna put gas fumes in your car. You don't want that. I've done. It's got a new. I'll show you. We have a new master cylinder for the clutch as well, so that's good. So yesterday I came, I loosened up the master cylinder pipe or tube, whatever you call it, pipe, I guess. I loosened up the junction for the brake master cylinder because that was all connected together. So I'm loosening stuff up. I'm not disconnecting the tubing because I don't want my master cylinder fluid to leak all over it, and then I have to bleed it and restart from scratch. Don't need that. So you try to do things as easy as possible. That's my motto. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be removing this transmission today. I want to remove this transmission. And who knows, if I'm on a roll, I might put my new transmission in, the 71 transmission. We'll see. So I got the drive shaft is removed, as you can see. These are new tranny mounts here. I need to, unscrew them here. And so I'm gonna remove most of the bolts on the transmission shroud, and then I'm gonna put a jack under it to prop it up. I'm gonna jack it up. I'm gonna yank this sucker out. The beautiful thing about this car is that you don't need to pull the engine. In just about probably 95% of the vehicles out there, you need to pull the engine. I would say maybe 99% of the vehicles on the road today, you need to pull the whole engine out just to get to the tranny. And if it's a front-wheel drive vehicle, I'm pretty much positive that you have to pull. And with a front-wheel drive vehicle, I'm almost 100% positive that 100% of the cars on the road today with a front wheel, with a front wheel drive and the transmission in the front, you have to pull the transmission and the engine at the same time to work on the transmission. Not with this car. This is much easier. People laugh at my car, but you know what? It's paid for, and I don't have to pull the engine to pull the transmission. So that's a godsend. And when I want to work on my car, I could just sit right here on the tire. I can sit right here, and I can work on just about anything I want right here. Just sit on this tire, on the right-hand tire, the left-hand tire, and I can work on just about anything I want. I got put new horns in last year. Maybe that was 2 years ago. Yeah, so it's a fun car to work on. This is where I live. Carver houses. Well, wish me luck. I'm at it again. Bye-bye.